Hello, my name is Andra Bell McCroy, and I'm your virtual PLC lead for 6 through 12 band. Welcome to our second February PLC. I hope you enjoy it. Let's jump right in. So, this session, we're going to talk about the real deal with DTL and band. First off, DTL. You're probably asking, what is that? Digital Teaching and Learning. You know, as educators love to have an acronym. So, DTL is how we will refer to digital teaching and learning for the purposes of this PLC. Okay. And so currently the types of models that are happening in our schools here in Georgia are totally virtual, hybrid, as well as face to face. All three plans have different challenges, and I've been completely virtual this whole school year, while my husband has been face to face the whole school year. So there are lots of different versions. I have lots of friends that are hybrid right now. So, what we're going to focus on today is my experience, and that's virtual learning. So, as I said, my experience with band this year has been completely digital. So, we haven't been into our buildings with our students in high school since March of 2020. So, actually, the very end of February 2020, we went to spring break and never came back. So, what we're going to talk about today is just my schedule, the struggles that I've had, and the wins that I've had. All right. So, let's keep going. All right. So, my day as a virtual band director, what does it look like? What does my class look like? How do I structure learning? These are all questions that we had at the start of this whole thing, and I had to find answers for them. So I hope that the information that I give you is going to be helpful and give you some answers. If in case you are still in the midst of virtual learning, you get thrown into virtual learning unexpectedly, or you're just teaching in a hybrid situation and you want some fresh ideas, or even face to face. Good teaching is good teaching. Here we go. So, what does my day look like? Looks like this. I made this graphic so that the kids could see this every single day because I want them to remember what my schedule is so that they know when they can contact me, when I'm teaching, when I'm not teaching. And so we made this graphic. As you can see, we are now on a block schedule. We spent the bulk of the time every year up until now on a 7-period day, kind of a modified 7-period day. And now we're on a block. And so we see our students for an hour each class, and then they have an hour and 15 minutes for lunch every day. And then on Fridays, we don't have students. They're doing asynchronous learning. They're getting help in study hall. They are working on finishing up assignments. They're doing stuff like that. We're holding office hours. We have our professional learning communities on Fridays, and our buildings are being cleaned on Fridays as well. Now we're switching to a new schedule, but we won't go there because we just found out. All right, so what does my virtual classroom look like? And that's just literal, my actual virtual classroom. You have to create a space that is yours, just like you would if you were face to face. So I got a little Bitmoji crazy. And so I made a whole Bitmoji classroom, and I have all these different slides that look like different rooms, and they all have a different mood. And I just went a little nuts with it, but it was super fun, and it was a great way for me to pull the kids in because they would talk about the different things, and a lot of like the little posters that I would use and things like that would be linked to other things. So I would lead them to other things, and yeah, it was fun to create. So just so you can get an idea. As you can see here, I have different classrooms. You can see this is our scale slide. I'm a flute player. My assistant, Devin Driscoll, he is a trombonist. So I put our little instruments there and our clefs. And of course, I embed a lot of different videos. I embed timers, backing tracks, videos, practice tracks of me playing. We have our ticket out the door, our Zen, kind of end of the classroom here, and they can click on any of the links in this and fill out a form for me to let me know how their day went, how their week went. Um, it's our opening slide here. And then this is our mindful moment room. So we have a lot of different rooms that we use all the time, and we use a lot of different videos. And so we just embed those. And so if the kids click on them, they get to watch a quick video of me practicing, or showing them how to practice their scales or work through their scales or different other exercises. So I've structured learning in the virtual classroom just like I structure it in my face-to-face class. When students enter the room, they enter the room to music or a timer with music, as you can see here. This is one of the timers that I use with upbeat music. Sometimes it's relaxing music, depending on what day of the week it is. We also have prompts and questions of the day. Sometimes they're just yes or no questions. Sometimes it's silly get to know you questions, pancakes versus waffles, Batman versus Superman, different little weird things. And then every day we do a mindful moment, some type of a little breathing exercise or a centering exercise or a focus exercise. We do one every single day. It's really important to us to make sure that we're taking care of our kids musically, but also emotionally as well. And then during the month of February, we've been doing Black History Moments. And a friend of mine has a YouTube playlist called the Free Range Musician, and they are creating these videos, 5 Black composers in 5 minutes. It has been really informative. We're on part 2 now, and my students have really enjoyed watching this, because when they think of composers, they think of, old white guys with the powdered wigs on. They don't think about, a Black woman or a Anglo-African man from the 19th century living in England. They don't think about that. So this is a really great way to open them up to new composers. So how do I structure learning when it comes to the listening and responding part of our class? So we have music of the day, a video of the day, and we use Squilt a lot. We have Squilt journals that we do, which are super quiet, uninterrupted listening time. And we incorporate different types of music into that and have them listening. As you can see here, this is actually a recording from the Air Force Band of A Movement for Rosa, and it's Black History Month. So we've been listening to A Movement for Rosa. We listened to it in 3 chunks. And it was a really good experience. And every day they got a little more information about the piece. And then this is a cover that free range musician I talked about, Errol Roden III, has created a tuba cover. He arranged and recorded this tuba cover of Before I Let Go. If any of you watched Beyonce's Coachella performance a few years ago, she performed this song by Frankie Beverly and Mays, and he arranged her version of it. Really cool for tuba ensemble. So it was a really good boost for my tuba players. They were really excited to see a fellow tuba player playing something popular. And then finally, we also include music theory and composition time into our classes. And we do build in individual work time. We are realistic in knowing that our students are sometimes not going to do their homework. So we build in some individual work time into our classes so that we can ensure that they're at least getting some of it done. And we're there to answer questions, so they're just not doing it wrong. And we also have time for questions and answers. So I've just included a few resources here. This is a link to a YouTube playlist with lots of timers. I believe the name of the channel is Mr. Timer. And it has lots of different timers specifically for kids and for the classroom. And they range from 2 minutes all the way to like 60 minutes. And they have music behind them, a lot of cool graphics. It's super fun. And it's easy to find timers with music for the classroom. If you just go YouTube search that or Google it, it's easy to find those. And they're much more fun than just saying, okay, I'm going to set my timer on my watch and you're just going to sit in silence and work. Sometimes that background music can be really, can help focus them. And then some of the little prompts that we ask and the questions that we ask to check in on the kids. How was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend? Yes or no? Um, Favorite snack food, favorite animal. If you were a color, what color would you be? Sometimes we just like to ask them, um, what's your mood? And we use a mood chart for them to tell us what mood. And the mood chart has the different faces on it so that they can see the emotions. I teach young or older students, but 14 is still much younger than adult. And so we still try to incorporate the visual so that they can understand the mood and understand the emotions and use those. And we use the waterfall technique a lot in our classes, especially when we're using prompts and questions, because we want to make sure that they're giving us authentic thought. They're not watching other people type into the chat and then they're answering based on what they see their friends saying. No, no, no. We want to know what they really think. So we have them type their answer and wait. And then when we say waterfall, everybody hits enter at the same time, and all of the responses come into the chat at the same time. So it's really, really fun to watch because it gives you a much more authentic view of how they really feel. Has nothing to do with what their peers say, but all about what they really think. Um, some more resources that we use, and you will get access to all of these resources as well. But we use YouTube playlists like a lot. Go Zen Online is a really good playlist. It's very kid centric. It's all about social emotional learning, and it's like I said, it's very kid centric. So it has a lot of different little videos and ways to introduce mindfulness to young students. We also use Headspace. This is an app, but it has a free YouTube playlist that we use all the time in our classrooms to help them, especially with their focus moments, trying to get them to pull their focus in. Little short mindful moment to get focused. And then we use Insight Timer a lot as well, especially their breathing exercises. So we've really tried to help students learn how to take care of themselves, and it helps us as well. Listening journals. If you've watched any of my other videos, you would know that I love a good listening journal. And so I have listed them here and they are linked there, and they're all standards based and they all use a different standard, and they really focus on that responding. How are you responding to music? So we have a thoughtful listening one. We have them write a story. We have them submit music to us that's meaningful to them, and we make them tell us, why does that mean something to you? And then we have one that really focuses on the characteristics and having them identify different aspects of the music using the musical language. So using the language that we are learning in class, they're having to talk about tempo markings and articulations and stylistic markings. Who has the melody? Who has the harmony? Who has the accompaniment? So those are really useful. Now, we do music theory every single day. Virtual learning, digital teaching and learning has really allowed us to pivot and include music theory every single day because we can't play for as long and we have to switch things up a lot more. So whereas we would only work on music theory twice a week in class during class time, we work on it every day, which is 4 days a week. So it has really allowed us to move our students forward with their music learning. Some of them really do need that time to really learn the language of music and really understand the ins and outs. So find what works for you. We use a paid program. And so find what works for you. Music Tech Teacher is great. Musictheory.net is also a great resource. This is the one that I use to make this little video. So what I've learned, and this is a little lesson that I've learned, even when students have a lesson right in front of them with, the explanation and the instructions and the, instructional material laid out very clearly for them, they will get it much better if it's coming from you as their teacher. if their teacher is saying this is this and this is that and this is duple meter and this is triple meter, they're going to appreciate that much more and get it much faster than just some random person saying it to them or just reading it on the screen. I don't know why this is, but it's true. I have discovered it through this whole digital teaching and learning process. So I've started making Loom videos using our platform that we use for virtual music theory. And it works for us. And the students seem to get it. So I've included a sample of what I'm talking about right here. And I just want you to give it a listen. Okay, music theory time. All right. So today we're going to talk about meter. All right. So each time signature can be classified into a certain meter. So we're going to talk about duple, triple, quadruple meter, as well as simple and compound meter today. So we're going to cover a lot of ground. All right, so each time signature can be classified into a certain meter. The terms duple, triple, and quadruple refer to the number of beats in a measure, and the term simple means that each of those beats can be broken into two notes. So everything is divisible by two. For example, 2/4 time is classified as simple duple meter. Simple duple. Duple refers to the two beats per measure. Simple states that each of these beats can be divided into two notes. So each of those quarter notes can be divided into two eighth notes. And 2/2 and 2/8 are also simple duple. Everything's divisible by 2. 2/2, there are two half notes for every measure. The half note gets the beat, and each of those half notes can be divided down into two quarters. 2/8, two eighth notes for every beat, or the eighth note gets the beat. Two eighth notes in every measure. It could be broken down into 2/16. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that made sense. It seems to work for our students. Now it's time for instruments. This is the part that everyone is always asking me about. How do you do this in your classroom? And honestly, it has just been a lot of trial and error, and we just keep trying different things. So we structure the music portion, the actual playing, the performing portion of our class, just like we would structure it in face-to-face instruction. We still do our long tones, our brass still buzz, percussion is still 8 on a hand to warm up and get stretched out and ready to go. We still use our lip slurs and flow studies and our rhythm studies, articulation studies, scale studies, percussion studies, very specific percussion work. We still use our method book and we still use repertoire. Much less of everything, but we still do these things. So I've included some resources here for you. So what we have found is that backing tracks really help the students enjoy the more mundane parts of class, like the long tones and the flow studies and the lip slurs and the scales and technical studies and all of that. The backing tracks seem to help keep it more interesting because they're playing along with something instead of just playing alone. And so I've included here John McAllister Music. He's a band director, just like the rest of us. He's in the trenches as well. And everything that he makes for his classes, he typically shares on his website and is completely free. He is also a composer, so he does have music that can be purchased, but a lot of his exercises, the bulk of the stuff on his website is completely free. He also has a really great YouTube playlist where he has all these backing tracks that go with his warm-up. So our chromatic warm-up, our concert F, E, concert F, E flat, F, the Remington studies, we do those every day and we use his backing track to keep it a little more fresh. We also use other parts. We use his floating slurs, which is a combination of lip slurs and flow studies all put into one big exercise. We use his cinematic backing tracks for the scales. So I would encourage you to explore that. It's something that we're even going to continue to use when we are face to face, just to keep things fresh. And it also helps with intonation and pitch because they've got something to play along with that's a fixed pitch. They will learn to make sure they're playing in tone and in tune. Because I'm not a percussionist, when I taught middle school, it was easy for me to just go to the back of the room and just work with the percussionists. I could do all of the stuff that they could do. I could play all their parts. Now teaching in high school, I know my limits, and we have some students that are really, really strong percussionists. So I told them I'm a better wind player than my students. So I teach them I'm not a better percussionist than you. So I am going to find resources that will help you get better. I can tell you what to do, but I'd rather someone show you and tell you what to do. So we found a lot of resources for our students. We've been very lucky to be close to the University of Georgia to help us with that. But just finding stuff on YouTube has been great. I've included 2 of the playlists that we use with our students a lot. And I've included these 2 because they are female percussionists, which is always great to see. I always like my female percussion students to see women doing the work that they do. And so Emmanuelle Caplete is a really amazing percussionist and drummer, and she has some really cool videos. I would encourage you to check her out. And Akami Music is another great playlist, and she's got great hands. And her single stroke roll exercise blew my mind. I've been working on it all week. So check them out. They're really good, and it really does help our percussionists. We give them the space and the time to go and work on it, come back, ask questions, go work some more, come back, ask more questions. And yeah, it's been much more exciting than doing the little exercises that I was giving them. Serving as the model, I think is really important. I always play for my students a lot and play with them a lot in face-to-face instruction, but I've really played even more now that we are virtual. It's really important for me to play with the students and serve as that model. So I've included a couple of recordings here. The first one is scale studies, and I'll just play the first little bit of it for you. But the scale studies that we do in class, I played for them at a certain tempo, and that's what they use for their practice track. So they play along with me. And then Carol of the Bells, I made an upbeat perform recording of that for them, and it was included in our winter concert. So I also have videos with myself practicing the technical studies and going through and playing the sections at different tempos and breaking it down. And so it really has helped. So first we'll listen to a little bit of the scale studies, and then second we'll listen to a little bit of Carol of the Bells. Hope you enjoy it. Hi Jax, Dr. Belle McCrory here. Concert E-flat scale. Concert E-flat scale 2 octaves with thirds and technical studies. Quarter note equals 100. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Happy practicing. Okay, I hope that was helpful for you. And with that, I wanted you to see those because I wanted you to know how I set up my recording. I am by no means a techie person with a lot of different tech stuff in my life, but I did invest in something really, really useful, and that was a plug and play microphone. So it's a little round mic on a stand. I plug and play. I mean, it's just literally plug it in with a USB, or I plug it in with the cable for my iPad, and I'm able to use it to record. And it has a voice function so that I'm able to get really clear sound when I am talking to my students. And then I can switch it over to instrument so that my playing is much clearer and easier to hear. I use an external metronome whenever I record so that it's not web-based. So there's no delay, there's no lag, there's nothing weird. I use an external metronome, or if I'm using a backing track, I use an external backing track so that the recording comes through the same. I don't use anything web-based. I never play with the track that is on the computer right in front of me that I'm recording on. I record with the metronome externally or with the backing track on another device so that what comes into the computer that I'm recording to is synced up. All right. And then headphones, yes or no. As you can see, I am wearing headphones. I wear these all the time when I'm teaching, doing webinars or whatever. I prefer to use these as in comparison to AirPods or Bluetooth, wireless headphones, just because they're wired and there's no lag time at all. And they're just a lot more stable. They're noise canceling, so you get my voice, and that's the bulk of what you get. And so I really like them. It allows me to be able to hear myself. I use these when I teach. So when I play, I simply take the microphone and I push it up and I play, and it still gives me a really good sound for the students. Not quite as good as the plug and play mic does, but it's just easier to do this. Some days when I know I'm going to do a lot of playing, I simply use the plug and play mic so that I can keep things like nice and clear if I know I'm going to be doing a lot of playing for the students. Now, when I am using that external mic, I typically plug in headphones, just regular headphones, into that external mic so that I can hear myself really well. And that's the best thing for you to do. That way you can hear the levels and you can make sure things sound okay. That's the tech side of everything that we do. All right, so these are my biggest challenges. These are the challenges that I found. And not only were they challenges, but I'm going to give you the solutions that we came up with to combat these challenges. So I'm not just, woe is me, this is really bad, life is whack. No, this is, oh dear, we're dealing with the doozy here. What are we going to do? Let's fix it. And so I never like to be problem oriented. I really like to be solutions oriented. And it can be a little infuriating to people sometimes, I think. But I do like to acknowledge that there's a challenge, and then I like to hurry up and find a way to fix it. All right. So here we go. The first big challenge is not new and is not specific to digital teaching and learning, but it is exacerbated and it's gotten so much worse with digital teaching and learning. Communication is so difficult. Students do not read emails. Parents don't read emails that don't visually appeal to them or look like they're going to offer some information that's new and interesting and fresh. So my old newsletters were not cutting it anymore. My old syllabus was not cutting it anymore. We had to switch it up. So engaging students and parents, keeping everyone informed, and finding new ways to communicate were our biggest challenges. Now, this is what we did. We decided, you know what, that old syllabus is not going to work for this. We're going to have to go in and do something different. Now, we use a program called S'more. Great program, not free unless you just want to do the trial version. The trial version is free, and that's how we got into it. The trial version is open for all teachers and administrators and counties to try out, and you have a limited number of newsletters that you can send out, or um, whatever document you choose to use it for, and then you can decide if you like it or not. But I would highly advise just giving it a try. Just give it a try. Don't go in and try to pay for it and get it. No, just try it. That's what we did. And if you don't like it, you don't have to pay anything. It's great. So we changed our syllabus format. I'm just going to jump in here just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so the syllabus was just a normal one-page syllabus, just like everyone else has, and people were not reading it. And there's nothing you can do about it except for change the game. And so we changed the game by doing a more newsletter, bloggy style syllabus. And so we have lots of pictures and graphics and links and all the things. We included everything: our vision statement, our mission statement, our goal statement, our objectives, our goals for the band, our supply list, all of the things, our grading scale, everything is in here. Everything is in here. And it was amazing how many more students actually and parents actually looked at the syllabus. And we also gave them a quiz on it. So their very first grade was a syllabus quiz. You had to look at the syllabus, look over the syllabus, and examine it to get the answers right. And so it was just a really good thing. So back to the presentation. Okay, so I hope that made sense for you. And we used that syllabus for both semesters. We used it in the fall, and we modified it and used it again in the spring. And so it seemed to work pretty well for us. So our new focus, this was another part of remedying some of the challenges that we had. And so we shifted our focus and we pivoted to a new focus on individual knowledge and skills. We always look at that. We always work to build those individual skills and conceptual knowledge, but we really dove into it this year and committed ourselves to making sure that every student was building the individual skills necessary to be a successful and independent musician. It was the way we were able to get buy-in from students and parents was being completely transparent and honest about this new shift and the new shift in the focus and why we had to shift to this, why we had to do so much individualized playing and assessing on an individual basis so that parents and students knew what was coming before it came. And I think that helped us to get buy-in from our families. We've always sent out a weekly newsletter, but honestly, our weekly newsletters have not been super beautiful and all of the things. We decided last year that we needed to up our newsletter game, and so we did. And it was the best decision ever. And we have done nothing but just make them more and more gaudy and obnoxious. There are Bitmojis everywhere. There are graphics everywhere, pictures everywhere, links all over the place. Why? Because we want to keep their attention and we want to draw them into the information that they need. So what we started to do was not just include band information, the things that they needed to know for band. We started including the information that was coming from the school. We started linking in a button that they could push, and it would link them straight to another window with the school newsletter. We started including in the very first paragraph our weekly message, what was coming up that week in school, what was our schedule like, how are we going to do testing? Are we going to talk about the reopening plan? All of these different things we included in our newsletter, and it seemed to really help. And then we started to notice that parents were actually giving us shout outs on different social media platforms for being so transparent and always providing the information. So it really has helped our street cred with parents. And it has also allowed us to keep them engaged and pull them in because they know that there's going to be pertinent information in the newsletter every week. So that's been great. It didn't start out that way, but we had to work really, really hard. So we also started, I believe, this last newsletter, including a motivational and inspirational moment. So we include some quotes and a little message from me about, just getting through this very difficult time because, quite frankly, we all need it. How do you reach them? Finding ways to reach them. That was a huge thing because we're making this great newsletter. How do we make sure we get it pushed out to everyone? We, dot all our I's and cross all our T's, right? So we use Remind, of course. We have one for each band class. We use a learning management system. That could be anything for you. It could be Google Classroom, it could be Schoology, whatever. Whatever learning management system you use, it is so important to use it to help push information out. So we also use email. We go straight through our grade book and our grade books message center, and we attach the link to the newsletter, and we push it out that way. And then we also use social media. So we post it on our social media sites, and we post it on our band website. It's really important. The Remind thing is really important. It's free, and it allows you to talk to students in the way that they're used to you talking to them, and that is, or the way they're used to communicating with each other, and that's through text, not email. Students don't check emails. Go figure. So when they are signed up for Remind, all of the newsletter, all of the announcements, everything gets pushed out to their phone, and it's so effective because I actually get responses. I didn't know that I could bring my instrument on Thursday. Thanks for letting me know. I would like to do that. It helps so much because they actually read it because it's on their phone. So unfortunately, when you try to reach them and you work really hard at it, some people get reached a lot. So some weeks, every Sunday, some people get 4 different communications from me because Sunday is my day to push out all of our weekly announcements. So they'll get a Remind text. They'll get a notification through our learning management system. They will get an email, and then they will see it on our social media site. So yeah, you got to reach them. We figured reaching more people, more ways is better than not reaching enough people. So we've tried to cover all of our bases. And the beauty of our newsletter, because we have a very high Spanish speaking population in our school, our newsletter is every week it is translated into Spanish. So that helps a lot. So another challenge was the little things becoming big things, little things that you don't think about, like a valve cap coming off or a spring popping or a screw falling out of the thumb rest. Little things like that you don't think about, those needed repairs. The little things, they become big things because we're not in school. So we had to create a repair schedule, and each week the students know you can bring your instrument on this day from this time to this time, and you get your instrument repaired. If it's something that needs to go away, if we have a spare instrument that we can loan you, you can, take that. We will take your instrument. You'll have that until yours gets back. And it's always the same day. It's always the same times every week. And that has been really hard. Hard copies of music and method books. We have the music, we have the method books. Some kids need to get hard copies. So what do? They fill out a form. We make those copies. We do whatever we have to do. Yeah, I said it. I said make those copies. I just implicated myself. I did. I know. I heard it too. But we get those method books that we have in storage, and we put them in a folder, and we label it with the student's name, and we leave it in the front office, and they're able to pick it up any day of the week except for our cleaning day from the front office. So that's how we combated that problem. materials, reeds, valve oil. Oh my goodness. Neck straps. How do you lose neck straps? I don't know, but it happens. So we have pickup days. They typically coincide with our repair days. You fill out a form, you let us know what you need. You can either pick it up during the band room open hours, or you can ask to have it left in the front office. We will label it, leave it in the front office, and they pick it up at their convenience. So we had to find ways to remedy these issues, and this is what we came up with. Student engagement, the biggest issue of my life. I've never had these issues with engagement before. I got really spoiled. But when you're virtual, you have much less control because the proximity is not there. You're not right in front of the students, and so keeping kids engaged in the learning process while giving them what they need has been a real challenge for us. So how do I do this? I find new ways to keep it fresh. That little Bitmoji is me all day. Sign me up. I'll be at the next webinar. I would like to read that article. Sure, I would love to talk to you about what you're doing in your classroom. I'll try that new thing. I'll try it. I would like to be on the pilot program for that. I mean, we have done so many things, and it's just trying to find ways to keep it fresh and give them what they need. Giving them what they need. And some of what they need is the straight up instruction, and some of what they need is connectivity, feeling connected to their band director. And so I'm always trying to find new ways, new things, new modes of instruction, anything I can find, new platforms, anything. I love a good beta group. I love to be in the beta stage of anything. Sign me up for the pilot program. I will do whatever you need me to do to help get the learning to be fun and engaging. And it's not always going to be fun, let's be real, but it can be engaging for our students. So that's me. Sign me up. So we did have some wins that we felt really went well, things that happened that we took big chances on, and we said, let's try it, let's go. And I have to give a little shout out to my assistant, Devin Driscoll. He hangs on tight as this crazy, I drive this crazy car through this crazy ride of digital teaching and learning and band. And bless his heart, he he hangs on tight and enjoys, seems to enjoy the ride in this craziness. And he's always open to trying these new things that I'm coming up with all the time. And I've really appreciated his help through this process. So we've been able to have a renewed focus on SEL in our classroom. And in case you don't know what SEL means, it's social emotional learning. And that's something we always do. We always take care of our kids. We always take care of our band kids. And a lot of us are parental figures to a lot of our students. And so, but taking a more deliberate approach to SEL was important for us during this time, because I knew that the kids needed this care. They needed to get their souls fed throughout the day. So we have daily mindful moments, like I mentioned before. We also have motivational moments in the newsletter. And then we do daily check-ins during study hall. So they can either come in to get help with work, help with their playing. They can come in and just say hello and just, see our faces. They see our faces during class, but sometimes they just want to engage with us one-on-one. So that's what we do. And then you can see here, we have a few quotes that we included in the last newsletter. And the first one is my favorite. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, then it's not the end. I love that. So we try to remind the kids to take care of their souls and to stay positive, work hard, and make it happen every day. So I can't take credit for this. There are multiple people that really deserve credit for this idea. The virtual scavenger hunt that we did a few weeks ago, Myra Roden at Fayette County High School was talking to her, and she suggested doing this because they did this with their marching band in the summer. And I thought that it was a great idea. I'd already found a virtual scavenger hunt and never taken the plunge and just to try it. And so we used this a few weeks ago to get the kids kind of out of a slump. They were kind of in a bad case. They had a bad case of burnout and isolation, and they were feeling really down. So we just took one day and just were completely silly and ridiculous and did the scavenger hunt. And I've linked it here just in case you want to give it a look, so that you can, and you'll get all of this in your resources page that I will distribute to you. But it was a really cool time, and the kids had to work together. And lo and behold, the brass won all three classes. It was the weirdest thing. The brass won in all three of our band classes. And as a woodwind player, I took great offense to that. But I was happy that the brass came together, worked together, and got it done. So this happened last spring. We actually had a virtual award ceremony and senior tributes. We were really kind of bummed because we weren't going to be able to have our band banquet, and things were very different. So I said, well, let's go ahead and just try to do this virtually. And I was like, everyone dress up and dress nice and look pretty. And we all dressed nice, and we got together and we did our band awards and our senior tribute. The seniors showed up in their caps and gowns, and we honored them via Zoom, and we did all of that. And I made the presentation here, and I made it in a platform called Canva. A lot of you've probably already heard of it, but Canva is a really great design tool, and Canva for Education is completely free for teachers and students. And I love it. It is a great way to make your designs look much better. We've been using this for the past year and a half or so, and it really helped me create a presentation that was not only very visually appealing, but was engaging as well. And it pulled the kids in. So I had pictures and graphics and all of the things. So there you go. And I can talk to you about Canva if you have questions about it, and how to use it in your classroom all day. I really do love it. This was the biggest undertaking, I think, of my career, because I took a huge step. In the summer, we were really upset because we learned that we might not be able to come together for our normal band camp. And it ended up being that we weren't going to be able to. So we, instead of waiting to get the news about us not being able to be together, we just decided to take the plunge and go virtual, so that at least we would all be able to see each other every day. So we did 2 weeks of virtual camp, and it worked out really well. We had a daily schedule. It was a much lighter schedule, of course, than we would normally have, but we did marching fundamentals, we did master classes, we had guest speakers, we had game time, we had all of the things. It was a really fun time for the kids. And at the end of it, everyone got a little goodie bag with a mask, a water bottle, and what else? A shirt for the school year. So because we weren't preparing a show, everything was much easier to facilitate because we were just preparing a pep show. So we were able to do this all virtually. I've included the flow and logistics chart here if you want to give it a look, just to see how we made that happen and work. So it was a huge undertaking, but the kids rose to the occasion, as did the staff. And I think we had a really great time. And finally, our winter concert. We had a virtual winter concert. And again, I told you I went a little Bitmoji crazy this year and pulled my assistant in with me. And so these little Bitmojis were all over the presentation. And so we created a virtual concert with kids playing small ensemble pieces. Each band played one large ensemble piece or a portion of it. And then all the students had these little, some were solos, some were duets, some were trios and quartets, and then larger ensembles like a brass ensemble. We had a clarinet choir. So all of that was virtual. Everything was virtual. We put it all together. Very stressful, took a lot of time and energy. We were working all the way up until the very last minute to make sure that all the videos were correct and were calibrated properly. And balanced and all of that. And so it was a lot, but it was worth it because I really think our families enjoyed it. We had a lot of people show up, and everyone seemed to be, in great spirits once we were done. So that was a great win for us. This is another thing that happened this year that really brought a smile to my face, which hasn't been easy in these times. But our HWE Pen Pal project, and that's a partnership that we've created with the UGA Hodgson Wind Ensemble with Dr. Cynthia Johnston Turner and her graduate assistants, and is matching music majors in the wind ensemble with high school students at both of the high schools in our city. And so they set up these mentorships, and they do lessons and master classes, and we're trying to get this off the ground. And it's great because it's all virtual. And so the kids get to humanize the University of Georgia music majors. They are not so foreign to them, and they are um, getting to know them as people, as musicians, as scholars, and they are offering them advice. They're offering them playing tips, practice tips. And so it's just been a great partnership, and we're really hoping that we can keep it going and expand it and get it to really become a thing that students expect when they get to high school. And let me go back to this really quickly. Yes, we are lucky to have the University of Georgia School of Music about 10 minutes from our campus. But because we're in the middle of digital teaching and learning right now, it doesn't matter how far or close a school is. If there's a university near you or anywhere in the United States, actually, you can partner up with them and have master classes and all of these things. You just have to go through some paperwork, of course, but this can happen because we are able to do all of this stuff virtually now. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, with all of that being said, how do we grade all this stuff? It's a great question. We're going to talk about the recording platforms that we use as well as the rubrics that we use. So we use a lot of Flipgrid. We use Flipgrid a lot. And shout out to Paula Williams at High Meadow School. She introduced me to Flipgrid. And we use this for our individual playing assessments. We also use it for get to know you videos. And we have started working with students on a question and answer session. So if a student has a question, other students can listen to the question and give a response. They can help with how do you trill this note to this note, or what do you do to get your high notes to speak? Other students can answer that question, and it can become a way for them to mentor each other, help each other, collaborate, and get better together. So we're working on getting that to catch. So we're putting that out there, and hopefully the students will start to bite. Upbeat Perform, it is a free platform, and it allows us to create a virtual band setting. And it is for larger groups, and it is a free platform, like I said. So there is a cost that you incur to get the watermark removed, but if you're just trying to get the kids to experience a virtual band setting, and you're not really looking to use it for anything super professional, and whereas where the watermark would need to go away, it's a great tool to use to help kids get acclimated to the virtual band experience. And with that, also Upbeat Live, we've used that a lot with the free version. The beauty of that is that it can be student led. So we have a lot of student led ensembles where the kids are maybe in a learning pod together, and so they actually play together in Upbeat Live. And then sometimes on days when they're not together, one is at their house, the other, and they play a duet in Upbeat Live, record it, and send it to us. We have smaller groups that do this. Sometimes we use it for formative assessments. So we'll have a group of kids come in, and we work through a chunk of the music or a small ensemble piece. They go and they record, they come back, we listen to it, we evaluate it, we figure out how to make it better. And that's their formative assessment. There's a participation grade. And then we also use it for our chamber ensembles. So the Upbeat Live, they can be up to 4 people at a time. And I believe the free version, you get 2 recordings per week. So it's a really fun way to get them to interact. It's like Zoom for musicians. So I would highly recommend checking it out. So these are just some of the rubrics that we use to grade all of the stuff. So we were using these rubrics before, but as you can see here, there's a form version of a rubric we used to use. It just makes it go faster so that I can have a spreadsheet with all of the grades in it for the semester, so that just in case there's a discrepancy, I can go back to my spreadsheet and see the grades. You will have access to all of these. These links here are live. We also use a self-evaluation form with our students. So after their performance, their large group performance with the winter concert, they went in and they did a self-evaluation form where they evaluated their own performance as well as the full group's performance. And we do that all the time. So there's no reason to not practice that skill and go over that and address that standard in class just because we're virtual. So we're continuing that. And then finally, this is a self-evaluation form that the fine arts department at my school uses. We have a comprehensive fine arts program at our school. So we came up with a rubric that we use across all disciplines, sometimes with our students. Okay. So that was a lot of information, I know. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me using the Godot Community 6 through 12 band discussion board. It's a great way to light up a discussion, drop a question, let me know your thoughts, share what you think, give me some feedback on what you think would work for those different challenges that we had, and things that you've done that have worked in your digital teaching and learning experience. And so let's share ideas and let's get together. Remember, sign me up. I always want to talk about it. And finally, these are just our social media platforms and ways to get in touch with us. That's our website. And then, of course, I've linked in our brand new Fine Arts Facebook page there and our Fine Arts Twitter account. So feel free to reach out to us. We're all learning together. I'm so excited to continue this journey with you all. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I look forward to talking to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.